in keeping with the theme of today being about stuff that has came out on Joe Rogan's recent podcast, we got to talk about this Aaron Rodgers issue with COVID and, of course, the COVID protocol being exposed in the NFL. Now, guys, this video right here is going to contain some stuff from the JRE Experience or Powerful JRE YouTube channel. The clips themselves will not be from there, but it will be in the description box. The reason why is because every time I use Powerful JRE, I tend to get a copyright strike, so I'm just going ahead and throwing that out now. Number two, the ones that we will be replying back to are from The Blaze. Now, Jason Whitlock, I had exactly one thing I completely disagreed with that I'm going to be bringing up after you watch the first round of clips that came from him. Now, guys, three things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what Rodgers has exposed as of late, number one. Number two, we're going to be talking about the issue around the COVID policy. And number three, we're going to be talking about the reporters or the so-called journalists that piled on Rodgers and the players afterwards and what was really just kind of a, let's just say it was a pretty nasty attack. Also, something else, too, there will also be the two videos that I made last year will be in the description box or they'll be in the comment section to go along with this video here. Now, with that rather out of the way, let's talk about exactly what's been exposed. Before we get to the COVID policy, what has Rodgers mentioned as of late? Well, he mentioned that he's been high on ayahuasca for a while. He's been mentioning that he was taking shrooms at one time. I personally contend that had he been using blow instead of shrooms, he probably would have 2 or 3 additional rings right now. But that right there is additional. That is another topic for another day. And we recently found out kind of sort of what we already knew, that he was kind of zoinked out on this night here.
What was the injury?
My knee.
Clearly the guy was on perks or something. He recently came out of this. Don't worry, I may even leave the entire episode for you guys to see because he talked about that night there too. But anybody who was watching that night kind of already knew that he was zoinked out on something. Now guys, speaking of zoinked out, you know, I have been a guy who's been somewhat critical of Tom Brady over the years, but I got to admit, Tom Brady's really grown on me over the years. But when I see this picture in July and then I see this picture now, I got to wonder exactly how much plastic surgery Tom is getting, and it kind of makes me wonder if there's anything else he's been doing besides eating avocado ice cream. Now, guys, with that right there out of the way, let's go ahead and get to what was actually exposed.
And then we're going to virtue signal to say, look how righteous our league is. We have 95% compliance with the vaccine.
Compliance.
And if you don't, we're going to send a stooge to your team to show you graphs of your vaccination percentage of your team compared to the rest of the league, which actually happened.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the stooge like?
Oh, I mopped the floor with them.
Did you?
Yeah. See, again, that's why people are like, no one knew your vaccination status. You lied to your teammates. No. Day 3 of training camp, they sent this stooge in, and he showed these slides about what your vaccination percentage was in your team, where you compare to the rest of the league. And I started asking him questions about liability. Oh, I'm not a lawyer. Okay, cool. But you're in here talking about all these different things, and you don't talk about anybody's personal health issues. There's 0 exemptions. You took out religious exemptions. You took out PEG exemptions. You took out anybody's ability to have an opinion. No, I don't want to do this.
That's my quarterback. I freaking love
day-to-day status on the team, but your ability to get a job, your ability to keep a job, your ability to get a tryout if you get cut from this team, because you want to put a percentage above 90% of your team where you guys can have some sort of like special virtue. Like, look how amazing we are. We're above the 90% threshold here.
And then
they scared teams and said, if you had an outbreak caused by a non-vaccinated player, you not only forfeit that game if you had enough players out, but you wouldn't get paid for that week. And here I am showing up to training camp, Joe, the first day, and we got 5 people who work for the organization out with COVID, all fully vaxxed. And I got COVID from a fully vaxxed individual who only got vaxxed to keep his potential of being a part of the NFL.
In the JRE clip that you're going to see, you're also going to find out when Rodgers was asked, and by the way, I talked about this in those videos, that he basically said that he was immunized. They asked him, have you been vaccinated? He said, yeah, I've been immunized. And, of course, he had a follow-up question according to what he said on the Pat McAfee show, which, by the way, they also like to copyright strike you, too. He basically said that he had a follow-up question for this, and then the media obviously just did not follow up. Now, guys, I remember this very, very well because on Twitter, You had people like Aaron Naylor, you had Tom Silverstein, you had a lot of Packers beat writers basically piling on to Aaron Rodgers like crazy. Now, don't worry, we'll be getting to that right towards the end of the video because this topic right here will be coming up more. So basically, what Rodgers did was he took a diluted version of the virus. You'll see that in the clip that I provide, which was designed to help him basically develop some type of immunity towards COVID. Now, you see that obviously he's in there asking questions about, what was it? He was asking questions about liability. He was basically going to bat for his teammates. You could say he was not doing that, but he's obviously doing this in front of the entire team. So obviously the teammates are actually aware of it, okay? That's probably his way of doing things. So actually calling him out and saying he's not a very, very good leader, I think is a very, very bad idea. I think is a very, very bad statement. Also, something else too, and I got to answer to Jason Whitlock on this matter. During this actual exchange, he actually compared Aaron Rodgers and Kyrie Irving to Muhammad Ali. I disagree with that 100%. In the case of Muhammad Ali, which, by the way, great athlete, great boxer, but if I recall correctly, Muhammad Ali used his status in front of white and black men and Hispanic and Asian men the day that he went to actually go into the military, which, by the way, he was a draft dodger. He used that status to get out of his mandatory military service. Now, guys, if you are given a draft card, if you can try to say, look, man, I've got this right here, my feet are bad or my hands are bad or something like that. If they find it, something medically that says that you cannot serve, then they find something medically that says you cannot serve. But at the same time, though, if you openly dodge the draft, you are, in fact, a draft dodger and a freaking coward. Now, guys, I did my time in the military voluntarily. If I received a draft card, I would not have wanted to go. But at the same time, if I received it, I would have said, look, my grandfather did this right here. My other grandfather did this right here. I had family members get drafted in the service in World War II. It just so happens to be that obviously this was a tradition. I don't want to go, but I'm going to go. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. And by the way, I may even do a particular video at a later date talking about Muhammad Ali's incident. But I think it's a good idea to compare the two. Now, guys, the thing is this right here. The thing about Aaron Rodgers' situation is this, and he also mentions it in the actual Joe Rogan interview. He had to do a lot of information, and come to find out he was allergic to two things in one of the vaccines. I think it was the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine he was actually allergic to. And then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they had the blood clot issue and the recall. For a while there, we couldn't talk on YouTube about that. I did a video on that yesterday about the vaccines, asking who was actually to blame. And Tim Pool was the one who actually brought the fact that YouTube is now allowing you to say this stuff again. And I think we all know the real reason why. Don't worry, I'll probably bring that up in another video. But the thing is this right here. The man was taking care of himself, and he was also trying to take care of his teammates. Now, guys, you will see in the full clip exactly how far it went. But the thing that really and truly bothered me, which, by the way, I kind of suspected that this right here would occur, was the reaction from the media, which is going to be the last part of this video, but also the longest part. Let's go ahead and roll.
Great epic novel. You need your protagonist and your antagonist. You need your heroes and your villains. And I think they just, we're going to make this guy the villain because he's been so good for so long. And he's not vaxxed. So let's
normally though. Did you feel like with the press and with? I mean, now
it's there's still that mark. I think.
Really?
Yeah. Really? I think it ultimately didn't hurt me because at the end of the season, I was playing really well. I came back from COVID. We played Seahawks. We won, and I didn't have a great game that game. But the last 6-7 games, I played really, really well. And then there was a reporter out of Chicago who said that I'm the biggest jerk in the league, and he wouldn't vote for me for MVP because of my vax status. So it kind of put the rest of the other 49 MVP voters, I think, on notice going, oh, are you going to let your personal political bias enter into a conversation about who the most valuable player of the league is and not vote for this guy because he's not vaxxed? I think that played into at least some of their minds at some point because they would have had to answer, how do you justify not voting for this guy for MVP?
Right. So
and how my vaccination status, they couldn't get past that. They couldn't get past years of friendship and me doing favors for them, doing interviews with them if they needed something, making sure I made time to, give them a soundbite or do an interview or come on their show. And I'm talking about probably a dozen that I thought were allies in the media, meaning friendly to me, and that they knew, if they needed a guest or something and I had the time, I would always make time for them. And haven't heard from any of them.
I kind of suspected that Aaron Rodgers was being standoffish to reporters because oftentimes the media likes to bullcrap him as a whole. They like to talk a lot of bullshit about him. Mike Florio is probably the worst offender. We will get to Mike Florio in a second because obsessed little men deserve the most amount of time. First of all, Hub Arkush is from Chicago. His real name is Herb Arkush. Him being basically a Bears fan, did not surprise me that he would actually say this about Rodgers. And of course, he would say that, which by the way, I didn't provide the clip, but I can always leave a link to it in the description box. But basically, what he did was he said because of his off-field actions, he could not vote for MVP. Now, guys, in MVP, most valuable player, what does that say to you? Most valuable player to their team, most valuable player during that year, on-field stuff. By the way, the Packers as a whole, they would suck without Aaron Rodgers. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. This is not like the case in New England where Tom Brady tears his ACL and the team goes 11-5 in his absence. Okay, so there you go. Also, something else, too, that needs to be said and needs to be discussed on this is that you had Shannon Sharp. You had Shit Bayless. Yes, I call him Shit Bayless because he's quite frankly a shit. You had Stephen A. Shit. Yes, he's a shit. You had these people all pile on Aaron Rodgers. That right there was the whole media reaction, was to pile on him. And I think that he actually laid out a very, very logical reason why. Also, something else, too. Packers beat writer Aaron Nagler went full on SJW. It went full on, we need to trade Aaron Rodgers. We need to do this. We need to get rid of him after he had an extremely positive relationship with him. Now we understand why Aaron Nagler has turned into a leftist social justice warrior and anti-anything American, because deep down inside he was an anti-American liberal to begin with. Now, I'm not making this video to attack Aaron Nagler. I'm just saying that I think Aaron Rodgers' previous comments on other journalists may have actually lended some weight to the reason why they piled on him as bad as they did. Now, they'll say that he lied. But the fact of the matter is that they never asked him a follow-up question. They never asked him what he meant by saying, I'm immunized. They never bothered to ask him anything. So it was kind of the media's fault, and people were calling them out on Twitter and Facebook for their bullcrap, okay? And yes, there were even some Packer fans, mostly the ones that are on the left, who probably don't even live in Green Bay, Wisconsin itself, that drank the freaking Kool-Aid of the freaking media. So those people right there, I just want to go ahead and say, you're just a bunch of freaking dumbasses. Now to Florio. Last season, when the whole vaccine debacle went on, Mike Florio tweeted about Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status 78 times in about a span of about 2 weeks, 12 days to be exact. Gil Brandt pointed this out. Now, it's not like he was tweeting about the man's health. He did not do that. He was tweeting about his vaccination status. What type of man is that obsessed with another man? I'm just got to ask. I'll let you guys determine in the comment section what you guys think about that. But that's the deal. This man right here showed himself to be an absolute insane, fruity SOB. Mike Florio has always been obsessed with Aaron Rodgers. But then again, though, Mike Florio has also created stories in the past before. I can name a bunch. I'm not going to do that, but I'll leave articles of how many times Mike Florio has been completely full of shit and gotten something wrong. There was this one incident where he said that Keyshawn Johnson said that Joe Flacco was a bum. I could believe that. The problem is Keyshawn Johnson never friggin' said it. He also stated that Randy Moss demanded a trade back to the Vikings back in 2007 when he was bowling with Tom Brady in New England. The guy has never been credible. He's not credible at all. He makes crap up. He always has been. Also, something else, too. On Pro Football Talk, which, by the way, is his show, he used to have Fridays with the freaking, what's his name, the dude, Cat, the other Bears fan. Look, you've got to be two very, very lonely people if you get on TV and you're a Bears fan and the other's a Vikings fan, and you guys just sit there and talk about the Packers instead of talking about how much you hate the other team. Aren't all teams in the division supposed to dislike one another? I mean, I know the NFC East. I know that Cowboy fans don't like Redskins fans. I know Redskins fans don't like Washington fans. Giants fans. I know they don't like Eagles fans. They all dislike one. It's called the divisional rival, the divisional hate. In the NFC North, it's just three teams that hate on one, okay? These are some very, very lonely people. I got into it the other day with somebody who was a Lions fan and basically told him the truth. Look, man, you're just a 13-year-old kid in your home. I just now replied to him earlier today, hey, look, man, me and your mom have some actual great news. We're going to have another child. We just want to let you know this. And obviously, he's been triggered ever since. These people are absolutely insane. The discontent, the obsession, it just makes you wonder what type of people do this. And while we're on the topic of Pro Football Talk, and this is where I'm going to end the video at, Florio has also had Chris Sims. I don't have a problem with Chris Sims. But Chris Sims loves to go on about how John Gruden stymied his career. Did you ever think, man, that maybe the reason why John Gruden stymied your career in Tampa is because you suck? Guys, John Claymore here. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section. Let's go ahead and make this channel grow, and I'll see you guys later.